If you've been going through a spiritual awakening and suddenly lost all your motivation, this might be the most important thing you hear today. Why do you feel empty when you were supposed to feel more alive? Why do you understand life more deeply, but feel less driven than ever before? And here's the part most people never explain. What if losing motivation is actually part of awakening? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what's happening inside you. And more importantly, you'll understand why this stage is not your failure, but your transformation. Carl Jung discovered something that most people are not ready to hear. When people begin to wake up spiritually, they don't always feel inspired. They don't always feel powerful. Very often, they feel lost. And this is where everything starts to feel confusing, because no one prepares you for this stage. You start seeing through things, through the system, through expectations, through the life you thought you wanted. And at first, it feels incredible. You feel free. You feel like you finally see clearly, like something inside you has opened. But then something shifts, and this is where it gets uncomfortable. That same clarity starts removing your motivation. The things that used to push you stop working. Your goals don't excite you anymore. Your ambitions feel empty. Even success starts to look meaningless. And this is where fear shows up. You start asking yourself, what's wrong with me? Why don't I care anymore? Did I lose my drive? But here's the truth most people never hear. You didn't lose your motivation. You lost the kind of motivation that was never truly yours. And this changes everything. Because most people are not motivated by purpose. They're motivated by fear. Fear of not being enough. Fear of being left behind. Fear of being judged. Fear of failing. And here's the uncomfortable truth. That kind of motivation works. It pushes you. It keeps you moving. It helps you build a life. But it's not aligned with who you really are. It's survival. And spiritual awakening begins to break that pattern. You start to see it. You start to feel it. And slowly, it stops controlling you. And when that happens, everything goes quiet. And this silence feels terrifying. Because you're used to being driven. You're used to pressure. You're used to always chasing something. And now, there's nothing pushing you. And this is where most people panic, because they think this silence means something is wrong. But here's the shift you need to understand. This silence is not failure, it's space. And this is the key insight. You didn't lose meaning. You lost false meaning. And now your system doesn't know what to do, because the old structure is gone, but the new one hasn't appeared yet. And this creates a very strange state. You feel awake, but directionless. You feel aware, but unmotivated. You feel like something ended, but nothing new has started. And this is exactly the stage Jung described. The in-between, the space where your old identity no longer works, but your real self is still forming. And this is the part most people don't understand. This stage is necessary, but only if you move through it correctly. Because if you don't understand it, you'll try to escape it. And that's where everything goes wrong. You'll try to force motivation. You'll try to go back to your old goals. You'll try to become the version of yourself that used to work. But here's the truth. You can't go back, because now you see too much. And once you see clearly, you can't pretend again. So now you're here, in this space, and it feels like nothing. No drive, no direction, no excitement, just emptiness. But here's the moment that changes everything. This emptiness is not your enemy. It's your reset. And this is where it gets really important. There are two types of motivation. The first one is loud. It pushes you. It pressures you. It creates urgency. It says, you have to succeed. You can't stop. You need to prove yourself. And most people live their entire life like this. But it comes from fear, and it always leads to burnout. Because no matter how much you achieve, it's never enough. The second type of motivation is completely different. And this is what awakening is trying to show you. It doesn't push, it doesn't pressure, it doesn't create anxiety, It feels calm, it feels natural, it feels like something inside you is gently pulling you forward. And here's why it's so hard to recognize. Because it's quiet, and you've been trained your whole life to respond to pressure, not to calm. So when the pressure disappears, you think something is wrong. But this is actually the moment where something real can begin. And here's the insight that can change your life. Real motivation doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like alignment. It feels like doing something because it's naturally yours. Not because you have to. Not because you're afraid. Not because you're trying to prove anything. Just because it feels right. And here's the important part. You can't force this kind of motivation. You can only allow it, and this is where most people fail. Because they don't trust the process. They rush. They try to fill the emptiness with new goals. They try to fix themselves. But this emptiness doesn't need to be fixed. It needs to be understood. And here's what you need to start doing instead. Stop asking, what should I do with my life? And start asking, what feels real to me right now? And pay attention. Because something subtle starts to appear. Small impulses, small interests, small moments of energy, and they don't look impressive. They don't look like a big purpose, but they are real, and this is where everything begins. But here's why most people miss it. Because it's too simple, too quiet, too different from what they expected. They're waiting for a big answer, but real direction doesn't come like that. It builds slowly. And here's the part that changes everything. When you start following these small signals, you begin to feel energy again. Not stress, not pressure, but real energy. The kind that doesn't drain you. And slowly, your direction starts forming. Not in your mind, but in your experience. And this is what Jung was really pointing to. Real purpose is not something you think your way into. It's something you grow into. And it only appears after the old version of you dissolves. And this is why this stage feels so uncomfortable. Because you're not used to it. You're used to control. You're used to knowing. You're used to forcing things. But this process requires something different. Trust, patience, awareness. And here's the truth. You can't rush this. You can't skip this phase. Because this is where your real motivation is forming. And if you try to move too fast, you'll miss it and go back to the same patterns. And here's the final insight you need to hear. Your awakening didn't take your motivation away. It took away what was false, so something real can appear. And that's why you feel empty, because you've cleared space, and now something new can grow. Something that actually belongs to you. Something that doesn't depend on fear. Something that doesn't disappear when things get hard. Something real. So instead of panicking, learn to stay here. Learn to listen. Learn to trust what you feel, even when it doesn't make sense yet. Because something inside you already knows, and this is the stage most people never reach. And if you're here, you're not lost. You're in the middle of transformation, and this is where your real life begins. Write in the comments, I trust the process. And if this video helped you understand what you're going through, then you're already moving forward. Even if it doesn't feel like it yet, because this isn't where everything falls apart. This is where everything real finally begins.